Good day, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Military and Foreign Affairs Network. I am your host, the voice of reason. In today's video, we're going to be covering the ongoing situation that is taking place inside of Kazakhstan. I know we had initially talked about the prospects of a general widespread revolution taking place in Kazakhstan, not just because of an increase in oil prices, but there could be a number of issues at play in terms of what is causing and or creating and who could be part of this ongoing situation taking place in Kazakhstan. I'm not going to speculate too much on that. It is what it is. And as of right now, I would say that that revolution is being crushed with gusto. Again, the probability that we see some sort of regime change inside of Kazakhstan, I would say at this point, is very, very remote, and I'll attempt to explain why and kind of what we're seeing taking place on the ground right now. So, as we know, the initial outbreak of large-scale violence in what we would define as revolutionary type activity, what do you call it, color revolution type activity, or spontaneous demonstrations, whatever you want to call it, over whatever reason, really started significantly in Almaty. We then saw that move to the international airport with the forces of anti-government demonstrators taking over the airport, and we believe that started when word had started to get around that forces of the Russian Federation and quite possible other allied nations were being deployed to assist the existing Kazakhstan government, in putting down this revolution, the prospects of a revolution from taking place. And I'll talk about the force deployment a little bit in terms of what we're seeing on the ground, but just to give you an idea, uh, Kazakhstan is of great interest to Russia. And the idea that we could see the current government fall in Kazakhstan, which is very close to Vladimir Putin and Putin's inner circle and the existing government in Russia, the concept that we would see a colored revolution, the like of which in Ukraine, and then having a possible what the Kremlin would define as a pro-Western, pro-NATO hostile actor on its southern border. Is something that the Kremlin is just not going to tolerate, especially in the prevailing winds of the conflict with Ukraine, and obviously the ongoing struggles with NATO. But if you look at the assets that are in Kazakhstan that are still of vital interest to the Russian Federation, well, you have the main Russian spaceport facility, their main cosmodrome located here. And you can see that on my map there, and it's basically military unit number 11284. And there are obviously very significant economic interests as well within Kazakhstan, not to mention oil, uranium, heavy metals, precious metals. Again, a very serious economic interest, not just for Russia, but also China. And as you know, China and Russia kind of have this somewhat of an alliance now against the West, against some of the positions that the West has taken with both Russia and China. Whatever other assets are here, if we look here, we have the Sare Shagan missile testing range. Again, this is under the Aerospace Forces Command of the Russian Federation, a fairly vital facility for the Russian Federation. Closer to the border areas, we have this facility, Kambala Air Base. Again, you have the 54th Separate Helicopter Squadron, that belongs to the 14th Air and Air Defense Army. What else? Very close within the vicinity. Obviously, this is across the border, but again, the 954th Anti-Submarine Weapons Testing Base. So again, there are still post or pre-Soviet collapse facilities that are a necessity to the Russian Federation, still operating inside of Kazakhstan. And again, the concept that that any possibility that Kazakhstan could take a turn and start to look like Ukraine, well, that is just something that the Kremlin is not going to tolerate at this point. And right now, we are seeing the heavy deployment of forces in Almaty towards the south that is being deployed against these demonstrators, against these, in some cases, armed insurgents. They have taken on the aspect of fighting the government directly by taking over some armories and having some military components of the Kazakhstan military surrender some assets over to the demonstrators or the anti-government forces, whatever you want to call them. Could it become an insurgency at some point? I really don't think it will turn into that. I think the Russians are going to put a stop to this very, very quickly. And in terms of what we're seeing on the ground right now, in terms of Russian deployment to Kazakhstan, is as follows. So I'm going to take off naval, aerospace, air defense, and I'm just going to leave land maneuver forces up, and I'll show you. So first and foremost, one of the units, and I had talked about in the previous video that I felt that the operational division of the National Guard based in Moscow would be deployed. Probably the 604th Red Banner unit of the National Guard, that Special Operations Group based there, could be deployed. But in fact, we're seeing the fire brigades of the Russian military now being deployed to Kazakhstan, and that's the airborne forces. So one of the best units in the Russian military is the 45th Special Forces Brigade. This is a Special Forces capable unit of the airborne forces. It falls under the direct command and control of the GRU. But elements of this brigade has been deployed to Kazakhstan, and again, this is a unit full of high-speed, low-drag shooters that are not going to hesitate in deploying kinetic force against whatever the target could be. The next unit that is being deployed as well is over here, and this is it going to work? Here we go. It is the 76th Air Assault Division. So again, we're seeing units of the 76th Air Assault Division based in Pskov. If I said that incorrectly, I apologize. But again, it would appear these are the main units that are currently being deployed. Again, the 76th Air Assault Division, or elements of the 76th Air Assault Division, and then obviously the 45th Spetsnaz Brigade of the airborne forces are also being deployed. I would also imagine that we are seeing elements of the Special Operations Command. These are units here that are also being deployed to Kazakhstan. And again, these are units that will deploy very, very quickly, that are very well trained. These are all contract forces. These are not conscripts. These are all professional forces that are being deployed to Kazakhstan. And in all likelihood, we are starting to see the crushing of this startup revolution that we saw in Almaty. And again, that is the largest city in Kazakhstan, but it is not the capital. At one time it was the capital, but the capital was then moved way up here, and it's now named after the former leader, Nur Sultan. And again, probably in a forward-thinking manner, moving the capital away from a very large population center that that may at some point rebel against the current rulers of this nation state. We'll probably look back and say this was probably a wise decision, as the center of power is here in Nur Sultan, not in Almaty. Again, large population center, but the key leadership is 600 miles to the north, closer to the Russian border, in Nur Sultan, and that is kind of the what and how things are developing right now. Just a real quick overview of the Kazakhstan military. The ground forces are about 20,000+ men, and there is some reserve capability there. The units that are really being utilized at this point to kind of crush the opposition is the elements of the National Guard, and we have seen some of the National Guard units surrender. We have also reportedly seen some of the active duty ground forces as well surrender over to the opposition forces. And at the same time, you have another element, the state security forces, which are separate from the ground forces and the National Guard. This force is comprised of state security, and then obviously the former Republican Guard that was enrolled over into the state security formations. That force numbers anywhere from 2,500 to 4,000 personnel. Again, very well trained, very well compensated, very loyal to the existing government. And then once you kind of throw in the issue of the deployment of Russian forces backing some of these loyalist formations up, then obviously this is probably not going to end well for these anti-government forces that we're seeing now being quite literally decimated in Almaty. They are definitely going after these anti-government forces very, very hard in Almaty, and again, the deployment of those Russian assets will just kind of quicken things up even further. And I would imagine this will probably not last another week or two before this is all wrapped up. But again, that's what we have about Kazakhstan. We're watching it very, very closely, as we are what is going on near Ukraine as well. And more to come very, very soon. Have a good day, everybody.